All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Season 2, Sentinel Pines Beekeeping. We got a little project set up for everybody, as you can see. Uh, there's a couple of frames out. I've got my smoker over there. I've got some setup over here on the table. Um, and so, yeah, we got kind of a busy day. Lots of things to do today. Some news to share with all of you. It looks like I've got two hives over here, but unfortunately, what I have is one hive. We've got Gretchen here. She made it through winter. Regina, she did not, and that was our first hive. So a bit heartbreaking. I'll talk about that a little bit as we go, but a bit heartbreaking. So we've got a box out here that we're going to set up as a swarm trap. So I'll talk about that. Over here, I've got set up my testing for mite station. So we've got a bucket to kind of dump the bees into, a scooper. We've got our solution, and then our easy view cup. And then I've got some Apiguard out just in case we decide we do need to do that. New setup. We've got a tripod actually for our phone now. So I have to learn a little bit about like how to make the camera angles work, but we got that going. And then I've got some simple syrup here to replace this one. Set that one out yesterday. They already finished it. So you can see I've got some frames set out. That's because as I was getting ready to set up this swarm trap, I was looking through some of the frames, and there were a few frames that had a decent amount of honey on them. And rather than leave them for the next hive, I decided to scrape them into a pan in the house, and Libby is currently pulling the honey out of it through gravity because we didn't have much of a setup. In fact, I would have filmed it, but we kind of made the decision on the fly. So we grabbed some pictures that I'll post as well. So yeah, we've scraped these frames. Most of them, or a few of them, we did front and back, but most of them there would be only like one that was good. I'll bring this up close so you can kind of see. So it did have honeycomb all over it, and now scraped pretty clean. You can see some of those were pollen cells, but not too many. And that pollen stuff's still good for you anyway. So okay, so yeah, so we're just letting the bees have these probably for the next day or two. You can see some bees are already working them. But we're gonna go in to the hives in just a minute here. Pick up some of this trash here, and we're gonna test for mites, and we'll talk about why Regina maybe didn't make it, and then we'll talk a little bit about swarms, and that'll be pretty much it. So yeah, so Regina had a really good winter, to be honest, and it looked like early spring, late winter, like she was going to be great, no problems. We had some warm spells where the hive was active. I saw them moving around quite a bit. And then we had some cold days, and they I don't know, they must not have made it back into a cluster in time, or my mentor thinks they were taken by mites because I tested for mites on the bodies, and the bodies at the very bottom down here in the bottom board, those bees, that test came back super positive for mites. So he thinks mites got to him. I guess I can't argue with that, right? But at the same time, I feel like we did so much to try to prevent mites that maybe it wasn't. But maybe I'm likely just wishfully thinking. Some things I would do differently, like that hive went into winter with 4 boxes tall. And I think in the future, I won't do that, right? Like I didn't collect honey from them. So there were obviously more frames filled with things. And so I left the hive kind of alone, and I think that was actually a problem because I think what happened is those bees then were too spread out. And so when it got cold, when it got warm, there was too much room, they could spread out. And then when it got cold, they had too much room, they couldn't get back in time to create a cluster. So I think that could be one of the reasons. So I think that's something I won't do next year. Obviously, this year the goal is to collect honey. So, or that's one of the goals. So we'll not be putting a frame or a hive into winter with so many frames in it. So, yeah, one of the other goals that we have this year is to have 4 hives going into winter. So that's why we're setting out the swarm trap now. Hopefully catch one. We'll probably end up splitting this hive this year. So we'll be doing that. And yeah. So we haven't really been much into Gretchen's hive at all, other than a couple of little quick checks. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like right now. We're going to try to find her. That's one goal for the day. We want to find her because we don't want to put her into the tester, obviously. But also we want to find her just to find her. So yeah, I'm still awkwardly unsure of where to set frames down. So that hasn't changed since last year. Right there should be fine. And yeah, so we're going to try to find her. This hive is normally really calm, but I'm sure because there's honey out in the world and because I almost never come in this far, they'll be, and this is the first time of the year, right? They'll be a little more agitated, but this is the first time I've worn my suit around them, really. So yeah, just kind of the standard stuff we know and love, just checking each frame, seeing what they're doing on it. I might I might take this box off when we're all done here and scrape out their bottom board. It's pretty nasty. All right, there's some brood on this one. So that's good. That's a good sign. We want them brooding up. I do not see Gretchen. Another goal this year is to try to mark our queens. I'd like to mark our queens so that it's easier to do the work, right? And to make sure we don't have her in our tester. But I do not see her hanging around on this one, and I feel like I would. There's not that many bees on here. But yeah, you know, we did the oxalic acid treatment. We did the Apigard treatment. You know, like I feel like we should be okay as far as mites, but you never know, you know, and I'm going to trust the experts, people who've done it before. He thinks it was mites. All right, this frame is full of bees, as you can see. Or maybe you can't. I don't know. Like I said, I got a new tripod, so that should make it easier for me to set up, but I don't know if it makes it easier for y'all to see. So we got a good brood frame here. Yeah, a lot of capped brood here. So that's good. Looks like they're making a couple drones. That's also good. Again, I don't see Gretchen. So until we find her, I'm nervous. Like this I probably just can't see, but this looks like all capped brood, which is great. Like if we don't find her, I'm not really keen on doing a test because, yeah, especially with such a small hive and only so many frames, there's a higher likelihood that I will accidentally do that. But one thing that's interesting that y'all should know about is I was shaking the frames into a bucket last year, if you remember. And then one of the guys at the club was like, you should use a wash basin because it's flat, so it'll be easier to scoop them, and you'll get a second chance at seeing if the queen is in there. Oh, lots of drones on this one, which is true, right? It'll be flat. You can kind of look around a little bit, see if you spot her. So he makes a good point. So that's why I have that basin out this year and not the bucket. Okay, I do not see her on this one either. But like I said, I may just go back in and keep looking for her. We don't spot her on our first pass through here. But any one of these, to be honest, would be good to use. Lots of brood on them, lots of different stages of brood. That's kind of what you're looking for. And the bees on these are really small, which means they're likely new bees. I don't know if they would have been born this spring or like a month ago. So yeah, we're gonna try to catch us a swarm in this hive, and then we're gonna try to get this hive to split at least once. There she is. Hopefully twice. Okay, so there we go. There's Gretchen. Try to get her in the shot. It's hard to tell, but she's the big one, kind of in the middle there. She's crawling around. She's underneath some bees right now. Okay, so that's good. We know where she is. She is on this frame. We're going to carefully set this frame right here where she should stay. We'll let her continue to do her business while we just look at some others. And then we'll double check to make sure she's still on it. Kind of keeping an eye on her. This one looks like they're getting some nectar in. So they're working. They're working. We got some nice frames going on out here. I'm not even going to pull it. Now that I know where she is, I don't need to look at these. They're just empty frames, but they're filling them up. They've got frame, they've got cells on them, wax on them, so that's good. So I think I'm going to take this one. You still on there, girl? Yeah, I see you. Do I like this one? I do, but I think I like the other one a little bit better. So, okay. So we're going to go over to our station. We're going to dump in some water or some liquid. We're going to use this frame. Make sure she's still there. Where are you? Where are you, girly? There you are. Okay, awesome. So that's good. So yeah, it is what it is. You're going to lose hives. I'm glad that I had this extra hive here. That's good. Okay. Make sure she's still there. Where'd you go, girly? There you are. Good girl. Okay, she's got a nice amber booty to her. Pretty easy to spot her. Okay, so here we go. I know you probably can't see me very well, but I can't move you now. All right, pop that little thing back in. Smoke myself for a minute. Okay. So you take about a cup of them. I'm probably a little light on a cup. A little light. That's all right, though. All right. Shake this up. So what we're doing here, right, if you haven't seen us do this before, is you use the alcohol solution to basically kill everybody, okay, but mites included. Don't worry, if the bees knew what we were doing this for, they would gladly jump in. But anyways, you do this, you kill the mites and you kill the bees. The mites fall through the filter, and you count up your mites. And you're basically looking to try to have basically 5 or less is kind of ideal. They say maybe even a little more than that. Ooh, all my lemongrass blew all over the place. Let's just go ahead and do that right now while that's resting. We'll put Gretchen back in and I'll talk to you about swarms. So, okay, so she was over here. Not that it really matters, but we'll just put her back. Let's just, again, double check she's on there. Looking for her big amber booty. There she is. Right there. She just laid us an egg. Good job, Gretchen. Oh, there she goes again. Laying another. And she'll do that pretty much all day, every day. All right. She still looks happy and fine. Okay, good to go. Okay, so swarms. So what is a swarm? How does a swarm work? Well, I just read, I didn't finish it, but my mentor lent me a great book about bees and how they decide to swarm. I can't remember the name of it right now. Maybe I'll link it in the show notes. But it's about how bees decide when to swarm and then where to swarm to. Because when a beehive decides to swarm, it's not that some of them made the decision to do it. It's that they all did, right? They all decided this is good and they did it. So how do they do that? Well, first let's start with why. Hives can swarm for a few reasons. And I'm not going to claim to know all of them. Okay, but I'm going to tell you the ones I know about. Right? The first reason that I know of is a hive will swarm because they have just run out of room. Okay? So they've run out of room in their hive and they've decided to leave. Okay, some other reasons a hive might swarm, they might think the queen is not a very good queen, and so they'll swarm because of that. They'll leave because of that. Although, I'm not really sure if that is a reason, because I feel like they could also just make a new queen. So that might be fake news. But I do know that at least one of the reasons why a hive will swarm is because it's overgrown the hive. So they decide to make some bees that are specifically designed to swarm. And basically, swarming means they're going to leave. What happens is half the hive leaves and the other half stays behind. The half that leaves takes the queen with them. Okay? And what they'll do, and then the ones that are left behind, obviously, they make a new queen. Okay, but now, oops, sorry, girls. There we go. So now what will happen is they'll decide, okay, we're going to swarm, and they leave, and they go into a tree nearby, and that tree is where they stay. Every day, the foragers that were a part of this group, they go out, actually, I'll just set this right here. They go out and they scope, I guess I want to say like a mile, but I think it can be even more. I think it can be like, yeah, it's got to be more. Should have looked this up, but they'll leave and they'll go out to a radius of, so many miles, and they'll look for hollows of trees, something cozy, but something spacious enough for them to live in. And they'll come back and they'll let the rest of the hive know, hey, here's a location. And the other foragers, they'll come back and say, here's a location. Here's a location, here's a location, here's a location, right? All these different foragers come back and they tell everybody about their location. So then the foragers go out and they go to all of those locations and they decide, okay, is this a good one or is it not? And they come back, and the ones that they deemed were good, meet the standard, basically about half of them, they come back and they tell everybody about them. Yep, these half are the ones we like. And the next day they'll do that again, and they'll keep dividing it in half until they get to the one. So every day they just reduce it by half, and they find the location that's best for them. That's pretty freaking incredible. I forgot my top. So by process of elimination, they essentially get down to, these are the ones, this is the one. And when they get there, they all decide, boom, let's go. And they go. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting out an empty box that's essentially like, hey, this is a great place. You should come here. It's basically pre-furnished, right? We've got cells. We've got pollen. We've got some honey, right? All that. And saying, because it's empty, you guys should come live here. And hopefully they decide that that's what they want to do. And they come, they live here, and I get a hive for free from the wild. So that's what we're setting up here. The reason I put lemongrass in there is because apparently a queen's pheromones, or a hive's pheromones produced by the queen, smell somewhat of lemongrass. So you put some lemongrass in your trap, and it apparently attracts bees. So there you go. So we're basically done going into the hive. In a minute here, I'm gonna, because I got this new camera stick, I'm gonna get like some close-up footage for you of the door here, and kind of what we have going on over here. But now we're gonna check the mites. And currently, I see nothing, which is great. That's really good. That's really good. I wonder why I see nothing. That's interesting. I was expecting at least some, but none. That's crazy. Okay, cool. So we don't need to put the Apigard on. We'd only put the Apigard on if we saw something, but we didn't. So we're good there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up my camera here. I'm going to turn you kind of like wah, 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 like this. Okay. I'm going to go like this. Now, I can't really see what you guys see. So sorry if that was a bit shaky. I can't see what you guys see, but my thought is, I should be able to hold you like a camera. Okay, so anyways, here we go. Here is the hive's entryways. And you can see there are some bees down there that have their butts up in the air and they're blowing the fan like that. What they're doing is they're airing out the hive. They're getting air to leave the hive. Probably, actually, we'll do that. That'll be one more thing we do. So I'll set you guys back up and we'll do that. But we want to go in there. I want to scrape out that bottom box. I forgot about that. So we're going to go back in. Shouldn't be much though. And then over here, these are those leftover frames from which we grabbed honey from. There were a lot more bees working them earlier, but now that I've come out and kind of disturbed their peace, they've decided to head back in and guard the hive. I wonder if we can see any guard beetles. Guard bees. There might be one out here. Basically, what they do is they stand on their back four legs with their front two legs up, and they defend the entrance to the hive. But I didn't really see any over there. Okay, and then just so that you can see what this stuff looked like up close. Not that you'd really want to. Okay, let's go back into that hive. I'll try not to make you so sick. Let's go back into that. We'll take that bottom board off. We'll scrape that out. There's our tripod. All right. Yeah, cameraman, I am not. Professional beekeeper, I am not. So, deal.